Morning. It's early. It's like 6:55 in the morning. But I figured I'd come out here, and what I'm going to do today, the past couple days we've been installing this new sprinkler system, this irrigation system on my back half of the property. And I figured I'd go ahead and put it on camera for you guys. Maybe some of you are considering getting an irrigation system installed or maybe doing something yourself, and I think you might be able to pull away something for it. So I figured grab the camera and shoot it. I don't know. Hit subscribe because we got a bunch more videos coming out. Humichar should be hitting Amazon within the next week or so. There are trucks ready. We're just waiting for Amazon to pick it up. I got some test strips. I want to do some extreme testing out here. Started that yesterday. That's going to be a cool video. We got pressure washing videos of the driveways, of the pools, of the fences. I got a new fence installation. This old fence, which is falling apart basically. The entire fence, it's about 500 square feet of fence. We're going to have a custom built, nice fence put in. I'm going to put that all, so hit subscribe and hold on. Hey guys, I'm going to walk you out front. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you where this irrigation system starts and how it runs in and how we're tying into the old system. So first off, my lawn's looking great. This is, April 18th? Look at that. That's looking great for April 18th. PGF Complete and Humichar are the main two things we're putting out here. A little bit of super juice, done. That's looking really nice. Alright, so let me show you where this system starts. And I'll show you the old system first. This is where the city water hits. And there is a main metal plate here for the water. And if you dig right here, there's a shutoff valve where they tie the irrigation system in. 1-inch pipe, 1-inch PVC is then run to these things. These are valves. There's wire and a valve. To turn on the switch, the valve opens, sprinkler heads pop up. So this would be station 1, station 2. So all this system runs off of 1-inch PVC. You have to have that 1-inch hard PVC to carry all this distance to keep the GPMs or GPHs, the gallons, the volume up and pressure up with 1-inch hard pipe. There's a valve right here. We had to repair that valve. And I said, hey, while you're here, tie into this 1-inch and put me a little shutoff right here. And now what I can do, because I don't have any spigots out back, so I ran a spigot here and we ran this 1-inch pipe all the way outside the fence. Now that PVC pipe is drainable. I made sure I have a drain that I can open it back here and drain it because it's not really buried below the frost line. So I have 1-inch pipe running all the way down here. So let me explain what we did is we ran 1-inch hard pipe all the way down here, 1-inch hard pipe down along that fence, and 1-inch hard pipe here. Then, instead of having to go dig deep trenches all through my yard and devastate my whole yard back here, now all we have to use is the little flex pipe. And we run the little flex pipes wherever we want to run. So that's how we did this system. So we tied into the existing irrigation system, ran 1-inch hard pipe. Wherever we needed to access it, we put the valve stations around, 4 stations. And then I installed, I actually had an old new in-the-box Rainbird system that I put back in my shed. So my shed actually has power. So I put my other station in there. So I have a Ratio in the garage, which is controlled by my phone for the main stations. And then I don't put anything on a schedule. So all I have to do is go to the shed, hit run the system, and the whole system runs whenever I want to run the system. I do not schedule my watering. So I manually water every time I water. I make that decision. My workers. So let me explain real quick what we're doing here. Hey Jared, so let me ask you a quick question.
Yes, sir.
If we're doing something to code, if we bury a hard pipe, we have to be how deep?
In Georgia, it's 6 inches.
You have to be 6 inches on a hard pipe?
On a hard pipe, because that's the frost line in Georgia.
I thought it was like 18.
No, not an irrigation.
Okay. So
But if you have like a main water line coming to your house,
right.
The code for that is about 18 inches.
18 inches, okay. So we only have to go 6 inches on irrigation. But we're not running hard pipe here. We're not running hard pipe. What we're doing is we're taking flex pipe. So we've got hard pipe behind the fence here. And what we're doing is we're putting a trench. We're just trench digging the flex pipe in. Then we're going to run out here. And we're going to run down here, run all back. So here's what we've kind of come up with as a plan. I've got 1, 2, 3, we'll call them large spray heads. That'll be zone 1 over here. Zone 2, then we'll come over here. This will be zone 2, and this will have a small spray, 1, 2, 3 large heads, and that'll cast this way because I already have heads up near the house. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back here and we're going to use small oscillating heads. They're the little things that go like this, the little fingers like that. And we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These will be all small heads. So that'll be zone 3. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a large head, large head, large head, large head, large head. And that'll be zone 4, and that'll cover this whole back area over here because I do have a head over here and I have a head that sprays over here. That's what we're planning on. We've gone over this several times in our minds about good coverage and not getting everything on the lawn 100% covered, and that's our goal here. So many times you put in a sprinkler system and then you have weak zones or dead zones that don't get good watering, and that's what I'm trying to avoid here. I'm trying to make it so that I don't have to worry about any spots on here anymore watering wise. So when I say a full head, so this is your typical Rainbird 5000. It's a full head, and these will be over here. Small heads we're talking about, these are the small, these are those little pop-up heads, and I've got a special adapter inside here. I don't know if you've ever seen it, I'll show it to you later, but it does that sort of feathering watering, and it'll cover in here. So small area, small area. Here's one of the advantages of using a flex pipe. Coming along here, we're cutting in, just a rough cut, but then I need to move around these bricks, and I can move around these bricks. There's a lot of flexibility. Again, we're only cutting down about 6 inches, and then we'll pat it back down. All right, more progress. So now that we got the trenches dug, now we're digging holes. This is where the heads will go in. And the heads basically just run right off this funny pipe or this flex pipe. Putting the main valves. The main valves will be underground, and they will be in a valve box. And these are valve boxes right here. This is what a valve box looks like. So that's what the valves will be in. And then you got your valves here. Those are your shut-off valves. I still had an old Rainbird, which is not a newer Rainbird, but it's an old Rainbird. I'm not doing wireless back here. I have wireless up at the house for the main one. I just mounted my controller right here. And this is what will control it. And all I have to do is just come out and hit one button and the whole thing will run. Alright, so let me show you real quick. This is one of the valve stations. So that's a valve shut off right there. It connects into your main 1-inch, and then there's a wire where it makes everything talk together to the station. Okay, so here's, as an example, here's a little T. We come into this flex pipe. So this is all that flex pipe. But we're going into the main line, into the valves, and then we just tee off into the individual sections. So here's one of the main large heads. You can see it just has these little valves. This is what people don't understand, that just slides right into this pipe right here. So that'll just go into there. And that's how your head works. So here's a good example of how we can navigate this flex pipe around. We have our main 1-inch pipe out here. We're coming into here. I want to go around my banana plant. So we're going to hit this over here. Then we're going to come along the pool edge. We're going to have a head over in here. We come around here. We go around this plant. And then we're putting a head in here. So that's one of the benefits. So that's one of the benefits to using this flex pipe system versus a main hard pipe, PVC pipe. All right, so we're done with the installation. We're going to run a test on it, the first fire up. And basically what we have is we have zone 1 over here. Oh, zone 2, zone 3, zone 4. So we put in 4 zones back here. The only question that we have really right now is we're running 5 heads off of this one flex pipe, and we want to see if we have enough pressure on it. So we're basically going to run them all for about a minute just to test all the zones. Man, you can hear all the noise going on. And then what's left is basically, you see this line here? And I told Jarrett just to leave it because my guy's coming over today and we're gonna sand this line. I'm just gonna fill that with sand and then we'll flatten that out. All right, so these are rotary nozzles. And man, I really like the way these things water. God, those things are so nice. I need those out on my front lawn.
I'll get used to it. You won't smell.
See him right there? Man, that's so nice. And you're turning the what ring? The red ring?
Yes, sir. So to adjust these, there's 2 ways you can adjust it. You can adjust the length of the spray and then the radius. So to adjust the radius, you push down on this little red top and you turn to the right, to the greater, to the left,
Less.
down.
Okay,
So you can push down, turn to the right, to the right radius.
Keep going. We're going to get more, even more so towards the banana there, almost a full. There you go. There you go.
Awesome. You want me to come down with it? Or
No, that's perfect. A little bit on the roses. And then the distance.
The distance, there's a little ring right around the base of this nozzle. And you just turn that to the left to turn it down. Right? And then you can turn it all the way. This needs a little bit of dirt behind it. Hold it out.
I gotcha.
To the
Okay.
right, make it bigger.
Gotcha. Cool.
And these are the biggest nozzles, biggest rotary nozzles you can get for Rainbird. So this is a nozzle tree, and the nozzles go inside of these rotors so you can adjust the amount of gallons per minute. On a typical yard, I usually use about 2 to 3 gallon nozzles.
And that's GPM, gallons per minute?
That's gallons per minute, yes sir. That's what I usually use.
Jarrett's the only one that calls me sir, by the way.
On occasion, I'll go up to 4. There are different kinds of nozzles in here. There's what's called a low angle nozzle, and those are usually used for when you're, at the top of an incline or top of a hill, and you use those low angle nozzles to spray lower instead of at such a big arc, and that just prevents prevents you from missing areas in the grass.
Gotcha.
But
And basically how you replace that is you just loose back off that main top screw and they pop right in.
yes sir, that's correct.
See, called me sir again. After what, 3 years?
Yep, 3 years.
So we got all the nozzles installed, so now we can test the zones again. So I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to turn it to zone number 2. Run one zone. Okay, now we're going to turn it off. That system is off. Now we're going to put on zone number 4. Run it. This is the most exciting zone to me because I've never had any water back over here whatsoever. Ooh, doggy, we got water everywhere. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 heads on one line. Man, that's some pressure. And if you're gonna install sprinklers, you gotta be willing to get wet. And what we're doing now, see how this stream is just shooting straight out? What he's doing is he's adjusting that front screw, and that makes it kind of mist. It puts a little screw down in front of the stream, and it'll make it mist. So watch what happens as he screws it down. There we go. Now we're kind of into a mist. That shortens the distance, makes it a little bit finer. So see how much heavier that stream is than the rest of them? That's probably a 5. So 5 gallons per minute versus 2. And what's happening is that nozzle is draining pressure from these other nozzles. So we're going to replace that one with a 2, a 5 with a 2, and it'll add more water to these other ones. I mean, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 6 heads on one zone. It's not 5, it's 6. And that's normally more than you want to do, but I've got the pressure to do it. And when we get that one replaced, here we go. Now we're talking much better. So what ended up happening here, so you understand, we had 2 nozzles that were inside the sprayer heads that were 5 gallons per minute, 5 GPM or GPH. And we reduced those down to 2, and now that fed more pressure out to all the nozzles. So now all the nozzles have a full spray on them. But this area in here, this entire area in here, has never had irrigation. Where you have to do this by hand all the time. And now it's got a full irrigation system. This lower half of the yard never had irrigation, now it has it. That backside never had it, now it has it. That strip back here now has it. We're all set. Dog is a happy camper. Hey guys, whew, man, I'm exhausted, but it's done and it's all working. So we have these lines, and really all I did, they were just little gaps. So we just came by and ran some sand in here, and we're tamping them down. Again, we're talking about a 1/2 inch gap. And I'll come by and rake this. I'll keep raking this and raking this as this sand will settle into those gaps. And so I'll just keep raking it and raking it. You can see back here, you can see the sand line here, you can see the heads. There's a line in here. It's actually nice to have the sand in there because you can actually see the piping and where it was run. So there's a line coming in here. We carried it around the banana plant out here, went around the front. Where I'm standing right now, we call the grassy knoll, and it was a pain in the butt because this area never got grass, never got water. And now this is all done. That back strip over there, I'd have to water by hand during a drought. And then this area back here near the pool, same thing. I'd have to drag a sprinkler out. Now I'm done. So all I have to do, now I have a Ratio app on my phone that controls my main sprinkler system. And I may get another one, but I had a Rainbird controller. And so all I do is when I want to run back here, I just push run all. And it runs. I have it set. It's no big deal. I can walk 30 feet, push a button. But I never set my sprinklers on automatic or on schedule. I always run them when it needs it. So pretty cool. Hey guys, I figured I'd just take a second and show you the heads for a second. So a Rainbird key looks like this. A Hunter key looks like this. I have actually 2 Hunter heads. I don't know why, scattered on my yard somewhere. But basically, there are holes on the top of this. You have one slot in here that you put your screwdriver, put this tool in, you turn it. Oops, and you turn it. And it allows you to pull this head out. Okay? Now see that little blue thing? That's the control nut. That's the the volume nozzle that we were replacing. So you can have a 2, 4, 5 gallons per minute. So that nozzle, that little blue nozzle in there, is replaceable. You can also have different angles. They make that, like Jarrett was saying, have that low angle. So like if you're at the top of a hill, instead of arcing, it'll shoot lower. So there are varying nozzles. They come standard. I forget what they come standard with if you buy them. On the top, this goes in and there's a little screw, and you tighten down the screw. And of course that puts a little screw in front of the stream, and it sort of makes it goes from a stream to a fine mist, and you can adjust that, and that adjusts sort of the throw distance. Then the final one is the actual throw radius, and the way that these work is on a rainbird, the left side is permanent, so you move this basically to where you want it on the left side. And then you have a plus and a minus on this side that'll control the right throw. So if you want less, so if you only want it to go, so if it's going full this way and I want it to go only to here, I turn it towards the minus, and it'll slow down that, it'll stop it quicker. Does that make sense? So that's your throw radius. But on the rainbird, the left side is permanent, so you have to move this to where you want it left, and then your right side throw is adjusted to that. So there's only 3 holes in here, and that's pretty much it. And of course that's the threaded bottom, and that just goes right into a little 90-degree screw in, and then your flex pipe runs out from there. And this is basically all that sits in your yard, is this little thing here and pops up. Now the pop-up heads typically are just that psst kind of mist, and I put in a rotary heads. They make a rotary head that you can get that does that sort of rotary fingering throw, and that's really nice, especially if you want the lawn. It gives you so much more control. I get my lawn, I get the flower beds. I have those regular pop-up heads on the side of my driveway, and I actually bought the heads that we installed here to replace those because I wanted that sort of oscillating rotary throw on the pop-ups, but we used them back here instead. So my system is pretty much done. Like I said, my main upper system is controlled through a Ratio app on my phone, and it's a decent system. I don't have many complaints about it. The back one, I had that Rainbird in a box. It's a 9-station Rainbird. You can get them in 6 stations. You can get them in 9 stations, and it's just a plug-in 12-volt system. But I never ever personally, I never run my system on a schedule. That's just the way I am. I manually inspect my lawn. I know what's going on with the weather patterns, and I know when I want to water. That's just my golf course background. I never put it on a schedule. I always choose my manual. All right, so let's talk cost for a minute, because I know a lot of people are going to ask that. And really the best way to figure that out is to have someone come out and give you an estimate if you want to do it, if you don't want to do it yourself. Personally, when you start to get into running hardline PVCs, you're trenching, you're doing it. You can do it yourself, but it really is better to have a professional come out and do this. Most of them will generally price it, I think it's on a per station basis. They might charge you $500, $600 per station. So if you have 4 stations, you might get away with, I don't know what, 5 times 4, $2,000. It's gonna vary greatly. But a lot of it has to do with what you have in place, what they have to put in, and the amount of labor. Now this was probably a 2-day project with them coming out here and doing it, and he had 2 the first day, 2 people the first day, 3 people the next day. It's just a lot of digging, a lot of trenching, a lot of running, wiring, the valves, the PVC. Personally, I don't think it's a do-it-yourself project as far as a full real sprinkler system. If you just want to install a couple of heads around and just run it off, they do make systems that you can run off just a regular hose system. Those are available, but again, I wanted a real professional irrigation system back here because I already had that up on my front. So really find a company that has a good reputation, have them come out and give you an estimate. And what I did was, and this is a good idea if you want to have someone come out, don't just walk around and guesstimate. Figure out yourself. This is a good time saver. So get these little, you can go to Lowe's and get these little, or order them on Amazon, these little irrigation, or these little landscape flags. And what I did was I just sort of placed these flags around wherever I wanted irrigation heads on the back here. And that made it real easy. So if someone's coming out, you say, here you go. This is where I want the system. Keep in mind, I'm running on city water and I have really good PSI here. I have really good water pressure at the house. So I'm running 6 heads off of one valve, which typically you don't do. You want to typically keep it 3 or 4 heads off one zone. But my PSI is strong enough that I'm able to push it. But again, these things, plan it out. You know, go ahead and put them around. Everywhere I wanted a head, I put one of these little flags. And so when he came out, I said, this is what I want to do. Here, 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 here. We figured it out. He gave me the estimate. Said, let's go. So, PGF Complete and Humichar are the 2 main products we're working with this year. And then light coats of Super Juice in between. Those are the 2 main things. Like I said, Humichar should be available. There's 2 trucks waiting for Amazon to pick up, and then another 2 trucks after that. So hopefully the shortage on Humichar will be over soon. Click subscribe. We got a ton of videos coming. Don't know if this helped anyone, but I figured I'd go ahead and shoot it since we were doing it. And one of the next big videos we're going to do is this custom fence install. Now this is a custom build fence company that's going to come out and do more of an upper end style. So they're going to basically do a 6-foot fence and then 12 inches of lattice on top, lattice design on top. It's a real pretty fence. We decided this fence is, I don't know how many years old, but it's starting to rot. A lot of the fence posts are tipping over. And we designed this irrigation system because what we're going to do is we're going to take this fence and we ran the irrigation system right behind the fence, and we're going to move the new fence about 18 inches back. And that'll put the irrigation system actually inside the fence. So if you're wondering why I did it that way, that's why I did it that way. Because all these fence posts, they cemented them in, and I'm saving this company a ton of labor not having to pull those old fence posts up. We're just going to cut them off at the bottom, move the fence back about 18 inches, and now the irrigation system, this new irrigation system will actually be inside the fence, if that makes sense. So try to put a little forethought into this whole thing. That's about it. Talk to you later. Got it.